Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello,
Hello.
good. How are you?
Good thing we have your names right next to each other, so I know who I'm talking to. So obviously this season, you guys get to have a little bit of fun while still looking for love. You know, knowing the success of the first season, did you have any ideas to where they will take your characters come season 2?
No. Well, I think obviously you have a vague sense, but I think the answer is no. And actually, that's incredibly useful because I think as an actor, you can, if you know where you're heading, which you would never do in real life.
Yeah.
You'd start to sort of almost explain your character or explain where it's going. Whereas the fact is, because we genuinely are in the dark. Like there's one, there's Benedict's arc in this season, I thought was going in a certain direction, and then the writing just throws you a sort of curveball just when you think you've got a grip on it.
Yeah.
And actually, it's so much handier not knowing what's going to happen. I think it makes our job much easier because it means we commit more to the journey of it rather than thinking, having sort of like almost like an eye outside yourself somehow, just working out what you're going to do. So no, I mean, I don't know. I said that maybe he was told everything and I was told nothing.
I was actually, I was in the know of everything. No, I spent the time I celebrated the show coming out and it was wonderful, and then it suddenly dawned on me that Colin leaves in episode 8 and I could not be returning for an entire season. So I did have a little bit of a panic moment of, what if Colin isn't there until episode 8 and then comes back with like his hat and he's like, all right guys, how's the summer been? So yeah, as soon as I'd read episode 2 and realized that we saw Colin's return, I was like, thank you Chris, thank you team, I'm really pleased to be back and employed, and thank you.
Where are we with Colin now? All of a sudden, like obviously in season 1 he was jilted, he was fooled. Does he come back much more mentally stronger and aware of what could go on in real life?
Unfortunately not. No, unfortunately he's kind of, he wanted this trip that was gonna, clear his head and help him move forward. But actually it hasn't done that at all. It's done the opposite. He's just riddled with guilt. He feels responsible for what happened last season. I think because of his position, within his family, the Bridgertons being who they are in society. So yeah, I think it was actually really fun because, like we mentioned before, it was a complete curveball and I didn't expect him to come back that way. So after having conversations with Chris, it was amazing to go, okay, that's where we're going with this. And actually I get to play everything really, because there wasn't anything that I missed. It was really nice to not have to create a sense of like his revelation on his travels, because it didn't happen. So it was really nice to dive back in for season 2, pretty much where I left off in season 1, really.
Mm-hmm. And with Benedict as the second son, there's a lot less pressure on him to do and carry out family traditions. So he can kind of go off and do his own thing, knowing Big Brother will always be there to help him out if he needs to be. Is there more to it? Are we looking for love down the road?
Oh, hugely. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. Because I think first thing to say is actually, I think although the pressure's off, it's not really off because he's second. So if something happens to Anthony, which in fact was explored in season 1, he has to step up. So it's actually a strange sort of mix of freedom and responsibility, which is actually quite difficult, because then you sort of think, what do you do with that freedom when you've got that shadow of responsibility looming over you? And so I think that's partly Benedict's struggle really, is how to sort of find himself outside this logic of, oh, I'm the spare, so actually to find his, it's both. I mean, I'd say it's like love and also the art stuff as well. I think they're sort of one and the same actually. I think it's sort of like finding ways to define yourself, and sort of explore yourself outside of that very strict family hierarchy, which obviously is even more strict in a Regency context.
And as actors, obviously that at some point or another, one of you is going to be carrying the whole season. Which one of you is ready to do it when we get to season 3?
Should we fight it?
Yeah,
should we fight it out?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Which one of you guys are ready to have it? Who's close to finding love and say, okay, now it's your turn. You're on 80% of the pages.
Well, I think that's what's amazing about this job and being involved in this show, is that each love story is totally different. We saw from season 1, we saw Daphne and Simon meet very early on, and there was that instant spark between them. And what's so different about this story is that there's this burning tension between the 2 leads of this year. And it's so interesting to watch a completely different relationship. And we've both experienced that. You've had characters that you've had interactions with throughout season 1 and season 2 now, and I've kind of had the slow burner of interacting with Marina and Penelope for the entirety of 2 seasons. So it's
very difficult, I guess, to know what to expect. I think one of the beauties of the show is that it's actually very difficult to feel or see what will happen in the future. Like I think it doesn't bear comparison with what's come before, is what I guess I'm trying to say. So actually it doesn't feel like, oh, when is it our turn to do what Johnny and Phoebe have done, you know?
Well, that's the beauty of Chris. Well, we'll find out from him and Shonda which one of you will take the mantle.
Absolutely, we will.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.